The learning elements that we will be looking at today are spread out in four sections, as you see. In the PowerPoint, I will be introducing you a topic, the conceptual explanation, and there are certain rules that would be required to perform that. If there is anything highlighted, I will be calling that out as well. There would be places where I will be demonstrating the functionality in the system directly. So that way you will be able to witness how that is performed in the essentials application. In the PowerPoint, if you are looking at the PowerPoint later on after the training, please use the notes section. We have additional explanations or some kind of references provided in the notes section for you to read through some additional details. In between, there might be more knowledge checks if there is any. We would use that opportunity to reinforce the learning by refreshing our memory of what we saw or what we learned in the past few topics. So that's how we would be following this particular format for the training. So today's agenda, we will get started with the product. We will be introducing you to the user interface and how we can navigate through the different elements that are there in the user interface, the different modules that we have, the functional modules that we are offering. More than anything, the most important thing that all essential users should be aware of is the user account that they are provided to log in. So we will touch upon some of the basic necessary items related to user management. And any user who gets started with essentials, they will work on projects. So we will also talk about how a project is created and what are the different functionalities that are auto-populated when a project gets created. We will look at that as well. Another important feature that Essentials provide is to manage documents. How efficiently that Essentials manages documents. We will be touching upon that as well. As Essentials is a preloaded application with a lot of details pre-configured, there are various instances in which the pre-configured data will be useful for you as a user. I'll touch upon all of those places so you know where are the pre-configured informations configured, who configures it, and how is it used in the functional modules. So that's what we'll be touching upon today. And these are the learning objectives to give you a high level of what level of achievement that you would be achieving. Would you be able to actually go ahead and perform? Would you be able to just identify? Would you be able to, is it a good to know information? That's what I've called it out. It's just a repeat of the agenda in a slightly different way. If at all you are taking this up and then you want to coach for the people in your organization, these are some of the learning elements that would be useful for you to set the context and then move into the actual training. So let's get started with Essentials. Essentials, as I mentioned, it is an integrated suite of different products that we have for contract management, construction project management, bid management. So these different products that we have, it's an integrated suite of all of these products. And it's a cloud solution. It is easy to deploy and easy to use. We will see that in the session as we move forward. And it also provides a solution that automates every phase of construction and maintenance projects. When I say automates, we have integrated business process flows, which helps data to get created, get reviewed, get approved, and then moved on to various functional modules as it goes through the life cycle of the construction project management. So that is what Essentials as a product provides from a bird's eye viewpoint. What do you need to start using it? Of course, the basic things we need, it's a cloud software. You need internet connectivity. You need to have a compatible web browser. If you have Chrome or Firefox or any of these web browsers that you have, and the URL that you have to access this Essentials. All of you are provided the SJTA Essentials environment and you have your credentials as well. So if you have these three things and your login credentials, you are good to get started with the actual product in itself. So that means you have all of it set. Now let's get started with logging into the system itself. So when you log in, this is your login page. So in your web browser, provided you have internet connection, put the URL. Once you have it, you would be landing on the login user interface. It helps you provide the user credentials that you have to log into the system. These user credentials are created within the application by the administrators, and you can use that user credentials to log in. Username and password. If anybody who is new to the system, they don't have any account within the system, they can register themselves by clicking the new user account hyperlink. By clicking new user, they will be able to log in and provide all the details and submit their application. Once they're submitted it, the administrator can evaluate it and approve or reject that application based on the necessity. We also have the forget password. This is like any web-based application. As a user, if you forget your password, you click that and then you will be able to reset your password. So that is how the user interface is. Once you provide the credentials and login, this is the page that you land on. This is your home page. There are various elements that you would be seeing in the home page. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate how I can log into the application. And when I log in, where am I landing on? This is a quick demonstration that I would do. So all of you are able to get familiarized with the application logging in process. Once we do that, we will move on to the various screen elements that we would see in the UI. Okay. Now, I hope all of you are able to see the browser. In here, what I have done, I have entered the URL that I have for my training purpose. You have your own URLs. You will be able to provide that URL. Once you put it in, you land on the login page. On this page, like I mentioned, I would be providing my trainer credentials. These are the user account details that are created by administrators within the application. Once I have a valid username and password entered, I can click login. When I click login, I would land on the actual landing page, which is nothing but a home page. When I land on the home page, there are various screen elements that we get exposed to right when we log in. In the application, you will be able to explore these different screen elements and use these different screen elements as you go and start using the application for your day-to-day activities. So this is the landing page. As I mentioned, it has a set of controls here. It has a set of controls on the left side of the screen, and it has some kind of a landing page on the right side. I'll tell you about each of these things, but this is how you would land on the Master Essentials landing page. Now let me talk to you about the different screen elements. I know I have to go back to the PowerPoint, but now that we have logged in, I will talk about these different screen elements at a very high level and dive deeper into each of these options one by one. Okay. To get started, on the top left, what you're seeing is the logo of the application. It also acts as a hyperlink. The hyperlink leads us back to the homepage. For example, if I am in any other page for that matter, let's say I am in security roles or permissions. As an administrator, I've logged in and I have moved into 3 levels inside. From here, if I want to go back to the home page, there are 3 ways in which I can do so. From the breadcrumbs, I can click home and I can navigate back to the home page. I can click the home in the list of modules that are listed. I can go back there. Or the simplest option is to click the logo. It will take me back to the home page. So it's a dual purpose. It gives you the branding and it also gives you an option to jump back to the home page from wherever you are in the application. How I'm going to walk you through these different screen elements is from top, from each line from left to right, I will move so that it goes with the flow of how I will also look at the application. And on the right side, we started with the logo. And if I move towards the right, there are 3 options here. The first option is breadcrumb. I did introduce this term a few seconds ago. Breadcrumb, it is very similar to any web-based application. It gives you a trail of links that tells you from where you started and where you are currently. Right now, we are in the home page. Like I mentioned earlier, if I am in any of the form, as I keep clicking the different functionalities, you'll see the breadcrumb getting extended. Right now, we are in 2 levels inside. And then I click further, I jump into furthermore. You notice that the as the breadcrumb extends beyond 3 levels, there are 3 sections already, and then you have the 3 dots right here. So this ellipsis, if you just hover your mouse over it, it tells you expand. When I expand, it gives you the full breadcrumb list. So that way you can figure out from where you started and where you are currently. And you would also notice that there are different colors. Some of them are in blue and some of them are in black. And the blue ones are clickable and the black ones are not. So basically what it indicates is the clickable ones are the ones that would help you take any action. So even in your navigation, when you're clicking something, it will let you perform some action on that particular section. Whereas the user management, as you see here, it doesn't have any control or action under it. It is just a folder. So there is nothing that you can do here. So the ones that you don't have any action to perform on, it will be highlighted in black with no clickable options. Any option that gives you a blue colored with a hyperlink on it, it means that even in the navigation tree, when you are clicking those individual elements, it will let you perform some action. So that is a minor difference between the color coding and the functionality of these links as well. That also summarizes the purpose of a breadcrumb. So just to summarize the breadcrumb, it gives you a trail of where you are, where you started, where you are currently, and anything more than 3 levels is collapsed into an ellipsis. When you click it, it gives you the full breadcrumb list. So this is the breadcrumb. Now you would have an obvious challenge. This is 4 levels inside. And let's say that I'm clicking even further down. So now the link is extending beyond 4 or 5 levels also. So the next time I want to navigate to a form like this, how will I navigate to this in fewer clicks, right? It has so much of navigation to land on this. Some 5, 6 clicks I had to do to land here. The next time I want to land here quickly, the best option for me would be to save this as the favorites. Again, like any web-based application, as you see here, this is a Chrome, and this is star icon, which helps me bookmark this page, right? Similarly, whichever page that we are in, I will be able to bookmark it. This is workflow management. Let's say I am an administrator. As an administrator, if I want to bookmark this page so that the next time I want to visit this, all I have to do is access my bookmark. So I would go ahead, this is the favorite star with a plus sign. That means this page is yet to be bookmarked and I can go ahead and bookmark it. So I click it. When I click it, I see the list of bookmarked items that are already here. Please note that these bookmarks are specific to the user account. If you log into the same environment, let's say you have your own environment, there are 4 or 5 different user accounts using that environment. Everybody's favorite list will be their own. The other person will not be able to access it. Okay. So that context being said, now let me continue. So these are the previously saved bookmarks. If I want to save it, this particular page again, I can click add to favorites. When I click that, it gives me an option. A title is pre-populated based on the form's page or form's name. It picks it. If I want to retain it, I will retain it. And in the folder, unsorted means it doesn't have any folder. It can get saved under the first level of list that you see. If I want to save this under a folder, I can either create a new folder and type the name, or if I had already created one, I want to access it, it will be available in the dropdown. If I want to save it under training, I do that and click add. The moment I did that, now this particular form or this location is bookmarked. So you see this particular star has become a plain star and no click mark plus mark indicated. So that subtle difference in the icon indicates that whether you are already in a bookmark page or not. Now, let's say I am in the home page. The next time I want to land here, all I would have to do is I would have to click the bookmark from wherever I am. I click the bookmark. I see under training, I have these 2 forms that I have bookmarked. I click workflow list. Just 2 clicks I did and I landed here. Otherwise, I would have clicked 6 times to land here. So that is the purpose of favorites, which helps you bookmark the frequently visited pages. Okay. The next thing is user profile grouping. When I hover the mouse over this initial, it gives me 4 or 5 options, right? View profile, change password, help, about, and logout. View profile, as the name suggests, when I click it, it just helps me view the details of the user profile that I have logged into. So when I clicked in as a trainer one, this is the user detail. Trainer one, the email ID, and all of these details are listed here. It is not editable except for the change password link. At any point you want to change your password, once you log in and once you see your profile detail and you want to change it, you can do so from here. Otherwise, also, if you just want to do a quick check of what roles are assigned to you, when is your account expiring, is your account having your email notifications enabled, all of that, if you want to take a quick look at it, you can always at any point click the view profile and see the details for yourself. This is the purpose of view profile. I told you that there is an option to change password here. A simpler way to do it is in the user profile grouping itself, we have an option called change password. So when you click the change password, it will take you to the change password option where you would be providing your current password and choose a new password and change it. This way, as a user, you will be able to change it yourself. Let's say you forgot your password, then this may not be the place for you to do so, right? Then as an administrator, the administrator would log into the user accounts and they will be able to force change the password from the admin login so that the password is changed and the detail is shared with the appropriate user. So that is another way in which a password of a user can be changed. That's change password. The third option that you see here is very important for you as a learner who's learning the application. So this is help. This is nothing but your online help document integrated with the application. So when I click help, it opens a new window, says Aurigo Essentials Online Help, and it loads the different options that you see on the left. And you notice one important thing, which is going to be very critical for you as you learn the system. I was in user details, right? User accounts, and I clicked help from here. I landed on the user accounts help page. So this is context sensitive. Based on the context that you are in, it is sensitive. The help is sensitive to that, and it will land you exactly there. This is very important when you are trying to learn. For example, if I am in as a functional user in the home page, I am in global fund list, right? As an enterprise user, I want to create a list of global fund sources who will be funding all the projects in the system. Suddenly, I want to understand certain functionalities about this particular form. How would I do that? I go here and I click help. When I do that, I would land exactly on the global fund sources, which tells me a conceptual explanation of what this form is. And it also gives me hyperlinks. If I want to know how to define global fund sources, there is a hyperlink. If I want to see what are the business decisions that different stakeholders have to take, that is given here. If there are any reports related to the form that I need to see, that is given here. In addition, you would also notice that those links are given as individual links under the global fund list folder structure as well. So this is very important for you to learn. So this way, and after the training, if you are wondering, how do I learn about this, which I have not gotten in detail during the training, this is one another option. I was telling you about the training guide, which is getting started guide. This is the PDF version of a getting started guide. This also gives you all the details, getting started with essentials. What do I need to start using essentials? How do I log in? How to set up users? How to set up a project? How do I manage documents? And then the common screen elements, modules, all of this information, pre-configured details, which I told you about initially. All of these details will be provided in the getting started guide. Please feel free to utilize the getting started training guide. Feel free to use the online help, which is a very, very important tool for you to dive in, start exploring this. For example, if I go to define global fund sources, it gives you the exact steps on how to create a global fund source, what each field signifies. That is also provided. And if there is any workflow stages that one needs to do, the record is created in draft, it is submitted, and once it is submitted, there are two options. If I want to send it back to draft, I can do so. If I want to approve it, I can do so as well. So all of this are also provided here. So that is online help option. The fourth option in the user profile grouping is called About. When you click that, it just gives the version number, the name of the application, and the copyright information along with the logo. It's a good to know information. At any point, if you want to see which version you are in, what is the name of the application, it, it gives you that option, which is About. The fifth option, it's a universal option. If you want to log out of your current logged in user account, you can click log out to log out of the system. So that is the user profile grouping. To summarize, when you hover your mouse over user profile grouping, you would see the 5 options here. View profile would let you see the profile details of your own user account. Change password would help you change the password of your own account, provided you know the current password. Help would take you to the online help, which is integrated with the system for you, and it is context sensitive. From any form, if you are clicking help, it will take you directly to the help details of that particular form. About gives you the copyright information, the version number, and the name of the application. Logout helps you log out of the system. So that kind of completes the first row of the elements, screen elements that you have on the application. The second row, you see, this is the name of the module that we are currently in. Right now, we are in the home module. If I am in the administration module, that's the name of the module that will be shown here. It's for you to have a quick look at the name of the module that you are in. And then on the right side, any functional form that you are in currently, the name of that form would be listed on this particular grid section that you're seeing here. I clicked feature settings, and that's what you're seeing here. If I click any other option also, the name of that particular form or a feature would be listed there. And on the right extreme, you have minimizing the ribbon, this option. When you do that, your toolbar options will get minimized. Why would you use that option? If you have various records in the system and you want to see, you want to have more window or window space to view that much of a record, you collapse the toolbar and you have more option to see. So that's a simple option that we have provided in the application. As I keep moving down, on the left side, you have this form finder. This is called as form finder. As the name suggests, it helps you find the form that you're looking for. I am in the home module and I don't know where the global fund list form is, but you know the name of the form. So you start typing it in global. As you type, the search engine will try to filter that search criteria and it will provide you the search results as you keep typing it. Very important feature. So if you know the form, all you need to know is how to find it. You can use the form finder to do so. And if you want to clear the form finder, you click the close icon right here, and it will clear the search that you looked for. And you see this expand tree and collapse tree, correct? Let's say I have collapsed all of it. You see these are different folders here, and you have individual forms as well. When you expand a folder, you have forms within those folders too. At one point, at one flow or one go, if you want to expand everything right away, how would you do that? Is you use the expand tree option. When you use this option, all the folders and subfolders within the navigation tree will get expanded in one go. If you want to collapse everything in one go, you click collapse tree, everything gets collapsed. So that is how you use the left side collapse and expand tree option. And I kept referring to the term called modules, right? These are called as different modules. Essentials provides the users with these different modules. And please keep in mind the number of modules that you see here will be based on the roles assigned to the user account that you have logged in. If you have the permissions provided to access the administration module, then you will see the administration module available. If you do not have the permission to access administration module, if you are not an administrator or if you're not having the appropriate role to see any forms within it, then you will not see the administration module at all. You will only see the home module and the projects module. If you don't have access to review a library, then library will also not be available for you. You'll only see these two modules here. That is the different modules. That is the home module. When I click the projects module, it gives you all the different functionalities related to a project you will see here. When I expand a project, you would see all the forms and functionalities related to the project listed in the left navigation tree. Based on the module that you select, the forms and the function folders related to that module will be listed here. What you see here will also be dependent on the permissions assigned to you as a user account. So if you are a project manager in Essentials, you will see all four modules. However, as a project manager, when you log in, you will not see the system configuration or functional configuration. You will only see user management. I'll tell you how that works. Now I have all the access. If I log in as trainer 3 or my own account, and I log in using this, when I click administration module, I do not see rest of the functionalities because when I go to view profile, what are the roles that are assigned to me? I have all the different roles. The role that is assigned to me is project manager. So as a project manager, I can access some of the functionalities that an administrator can access, but not everything. I don't have option to manage anything other than user accounts. In user accounts, I can have certain control functionalities. I do not have action to create a user account. Only administrators have. As a project manager, I can view the details of the users that are assigned to the projects that I have. So that's how you will be able to control the permissions that are provided to different users who are accessing the system based on the roles that they are assigned to. So this is one thing that I wanted to call out. Let me go back to the trainer ID, which has all the permissions. Great. So we looked at the modules. If you want to see the modules fully, you have an option right here which says expand. which when I expand, it just tells me the icon with the actual name of the modules listed. If I want to see the navigation tree, I collapse this section and it gives me the navigation tree. As I mentioned, based on the module that you are in and the permissions assigned to you, we have the folders and forms visible for you. And if you want to collapse this, this is called as the left navigation tree. If I want to collapse this entire section and want to use as much space as possible for the right action pane, this is called as action pane. So I want to collapse this. I have an option to collapse, close. When I close it, the entire navigation tree is collapsed. Okay. So if I want to pull it back, so I have this icon right here. When I click it, the navigation tree comes back. So this is how I will be able to expand and collapse the left navigation tree. So when I collapsed it, you notice that the right action pane has that much space for us to explore and view that much more information rather. So that is the purpose of the left navigation tree collapsing and expanding. So that way, now we have completed the left side of the UI, different screen elements related to the left side of the UI. Now I'll move on to the right side of the UI. We already looked at the name of the form in which we are in. Now let me talk about the different toolbar options that we see here. This is the right action pane, as I mentioned. Based on what you click, the respective option will display here. It can be a dashboard, it can be a report, it can be a list of records, it can be a details record for where you are actually entering the information. Depends on what you click, you will see that on the right side. And right at the bottom, you see the page navigation. So this is again like any browser, Google search engine, you have these difference. Whichever page you are in, you will see that. If you want to go back to the previous page or the next page, you have those options as well. If you want to jump to the last page or the first page in one go, you have those options as well too. And it also gives you the page number. Which page are we in currently? So these are different screen elements that I want to introduce you to. Now let me go back to the application and quickly run through the PowerPoint slides to tell you whether we have covered everything. So as I told you, the left pane that I told you about, in this left pane, we talked about the search bar, which is also called as form finder, which helps you search for the forms that you want to look at. And then you have your expand and collapse navigation tree, which helped you expand and collapse all the folders and subfolders in the navigation tree. You had the modules pane, which tells you about the different modules that you have access to. You also can expand the module pane to see the name of the modules and collapse it and start seeing the forms within each of those modules. This is how it looked like. And you have the toggle button to completely collapse the left navigation tree to see more action pane, or you can pull it back to see the list of the forms available for you. And on the right side, you have your work area, which is also called as the action pane. Based on what you have clicked on the left side, you will see it on the right side. And we looked at the favorites option. We looked at the breadcrumbs. We also looked at the user profile. So these are some of the descriptions that we just talked about. When these materials are provided to you and you want to do a refresher after the session, these materials would help you read through and understand it like a reinforcement strategy. Okay. So these are some things that we looked at. We did look at the different elements that I just walked you through. There is another thing I wanted to bring it to your notice. When in essentials, there are two types of forms. When I keep saying forms, what I'm referring to is a page that loads. There are two types of pages that are loaded. One is a single instance page, another one is a multi-instance page. When I say single instance page, what it actually indicates is anytime you do some type of setting, you do it once and you save it. The next time you want to do it, any changes, it will override the previously set up data. So that is only one instance. When you do again, it will override the previous instance. So that way, you are always maintaining one copy or one version of that data, and you will always rewrite it or override it. This is typically used for forms such as settings. You set it once, that will apply for the entire application. You change it, it resets the application changes, settings across the application. On the right side, what you see here is the multi-instance form. Multi-instance form is typically the form which helps you create different instances of the same record. Projects. You can create multiple projects within Essentials. So each project is an instance. So those are the multiple instances of projects that you can create within that form. So when you click this type of forms, it lands you on a multi-instance page where it gives you a a different option to either create a new instance or edit an existing instance or delete an existing instance or perform workflow actions on that instance. All of that you can do. So it will give you a list of already created instances. And if you have permission to create a new record, that will also be possible. So that is called as a multi-instance form. Typically, multi-instance forms have two layers. The first layer is the list page that I just told you about. And then once you click new or edit, it takes you to the details page, which acts like a single instance. Once you land on the details, then whatever you change that you make in that details page will override the previous record of that particular instance. So it's like a multi-instance, which will be a landing page as a multi-instance. And then when you dive deeper, it takes you to a single instance. So that's the idea that you need to keep in mind. So that like I told you, a list page, it gives you records of that particular functionality, different records, different instances of the records of a particular functionality, in this case, a budget estimate. Because we have different records, you would obviously want to see how you can group that record, how you want to sort the records, filter the records, rearrange the columns that you see. All of this you can do when you are on a list page. When you open any of these individual record, you land on a details page. When you are in a details page, for that particular record, all the details that you have captured will be listed here based on how you landed here. Whether you clicked view to land here or edit to land here, accordingly, you will see the options displayed for you to make changes to or just take a look at them. If you clicked view to land here, none of these options will be editable. You will just be able to see that record. If you click to edit in the list page to land here, then based on the edit permissions provided to your user account, based on the roles assigned to you, you will be able to edit the records and save it. So that is what I wanted to highlight as part of your details page and list page, multi-instance and single instance pages. Let's talk about the single instance forms. Typically, single instance forms are settings type of forms, which are usually handled by administrators. So I'm going to give an example of administrator module. When I get open system and configuration, click application settings. This is a single instance form. So only one instance of application settings is displayed. Anytime anybody changes any record, it overrides the previously saved record of that instance. So this is called as a single instance form. When a multi-instance form is accessed, when I click that type of a form, multiple instances of the record, user account records, are created with the ability for that person to either create a newer instance or edit an existing instance or delete an existing instance. They can do so. When I select a record and click view or edit and I log into it, now I land on a details page. The previous one was a list page. Now I land on a details page. This details page will be a single instance page, because now if I edit it and make any changes here, this instance will be overwritten. So that's why I call this as a single instance. And the previous page that I just landed you on, this is a multi-instance page. Let me also introduce you to the various toolbar options in any functionality for that matter. Now let me go and open a functional form. This is a functional form for you, which is a global fund list form. So this is a list page, right? In this list page, you can do a lot of things. Like I showed you in the PowerPoint, there are various things that you can do to make this list of records comfortable for you to view. In this case, I have new, which will help me. These are toolbar options. I can click new to create a new record, provided I have the permission to create a new record in this page. I can edit any existing record. I can view an existing record or delete an existing record. These are common functionalities across all list pages, provided I have the permission to create those. And then you have a grouping of workflow related actions. Workflow, as I told you, workflow is a some business process model that we have embedded within all the functionalities within Essentials. At any point, I want to see the history of the path that this particular record has gone through. I will be able to do so. I will touch upon these options later on in the session, but at a high level, when you see the toolbar, you will see these different groupings. General, I just told you. In the workflow grouping, you will see all workflow related options. Mail merge is another important functionality. And any record, if you want to merge a set of details with this particular record, you can use merge and attach So what it does is it creates a template. In a template, it creates some kind of data that you want to attach with this record. So let there be an approved record. For with that approved record, you want to have some kind of an approval certification to be attached to this. So you create a template, and when you do merge and attach, dynamically the attachment document will be populated with the appropriate data, and it will get attached to this record. I'll talk about the concept of attachment and all when I bring the document management aspect of it. Okay. Merge an email. Let's say you have a record and it gets approved, and you want to send an email to somebody, a key stakeholder, with some dynamic data loaded in a templatized format so that they know that this particular record is approved. So if you want to do it that way, you can use the merge an email option. That is what it's called as merge an email. Beyond this, I wouldn't dive deeper because these are topics which will take more time for us to explain. But at a high level for you to get started, this is one grouping that you'd see in any list page. And you have your for other additional set of controls. Any list page will have its own reports. These are the reports that will help you. If I select a record and click details report, it will tell me the details of that particular record in a report format, which you can convert into a PDF or you can send it to somebody. All of that you can do so. The list of records that you want to generate a report out of, you can do so as well. In addition to these two standard reports, you also have some specific reports that are built in by our developers, which will give you some meaningful data about the form that you are in. I'll talk about the reports, dashboards, and all in a while. But as an option at this point, you need to be aware of the different reports that you can access at any form for that matter. And you also have customized list, Excel, so import, export. For example, if you want to export all of these details to somebody who don't have access to essentials, but they still need to validate that information, they can do so and send it back to you. That Excel data, you can import it inside the essentials application. You have filters too. This filters option helps you filter the list of records that you see here. Now, let me dive deeper into the different ways in which you can view the records in a list page. At this point, you have various columns, various data listed here. Let's say I want to view only the records related to fund category, Adams County. I don't want to see any other records. I only want to see the records related to fund category, Adams County. So what I would do, I would go here and start entering my filter criteria. I type Adams and I click this particular filter and it gives me various options. Do I want to filter the records that contain Adams as one category or that does not contain Adams as one category, or the data that starts with Adams or ends with Adams? All these different controls you can put. At this point, all I'm going to do is contains. The moment I did that, it applies the filter on the list of records that I have, and it shows only the records that contains the term Adams in the fund category option. So this is how I can filter this record, list of records. Now let's say I want to save this filter for future reference. All I would do is in the filter grouping, I would go and click add. When I click add, at this point, there are no filters available. I'm just going to enter a filter saying Adams County fund categories. This is the name of my filter, and I add this. The moment I did that, I have a filter that is created. If I have, this is not a default filter for me, by the way. So I cleared this filter right now. It's not there anymore. I go to another form and I come back to this form. When I come back to this form, there is no filter available. If I want to see the filter record, which I have saved, I can just go and click that filter that I just saved. The filter will get applied on the record. So this way you can create and save your own filters. Let's say you want to always see this data by default. Then what would you do? You would select this particular, you would go to manage and you will edit this record and you would mark this as default, set it as default and update it. Now this is your default filter. So in this case, let's say I'm clearing this record. I cleared it, this filter. So now there is no filter available. I navigate to different locations and I go back to this home module. and I go to global fund list. By default, the filter is applied, and this is what I'm seeing here. And you would wonder, will everybody start seeing the same filter that I have created? No. These filters are specific to the user accounts that you have logged into, and you will be the only person who will be seeing these filters. Okay. You can create any number of filters. You can add filters within filters. Let's say I'm adding one more filter here. I've already applied a filter. Let's say I want to see only the records that are of fund type cash. Now there is another filter. I want to add this filter saying AC fund category with cash. I want to create another filter. So this is a filter which has two levels of filters applied. At any point, if I want to go back to the previous filter, I can select from the list of filters. It gives me this option. If I want to see another filter that I've created, it gives me that option. But this is not my default filter. So at any point, I go back and come back to this form. My default filter that I had applied will appear here. So this is my default filter, and that is what will be appearing here. And if I want to add another filter, I can always do so. If I want to clear a filter, I can click clear to clear it. The filters that you create in your user account is applicable only for you. So this is how you would be filtering your record. The other option in which you can control the way you want to look at this information is by grouping. Like I told you, I want to see records related to cash together, records related to debt together, grant together. So if I want to group the records like that, I go to fund type, I right click the column. At any column for that matter, you can right click. When you use your mouse to right click, you have this option called group by. The moment I click that, based on the option available, your records will get grouped. There were some records that didn't have any fund type. So the empty records are grouped first. And then based on the alphabetical order, cash is the first in the alphabetical order. It shows here. And that's the group. And then your debt. Now you have a grouped record already, right? I want to group one more, which is based on fund category. Under each primary grouping, you have your subgroupings. Under fund type, which doesn't have any value, you have fund category, which also doesn't have any value, grouped in the first subgroup, Adams County in the second group, cash in lieu in the third group, and local in the fourth group. Similarly, under cash fund type, you have these categories. So likewise, you can continue to group these different categories. At some point, you feel, no, I do not want this grouping. I right click this and ungroup. If I right click this and ungroup this as well, it will go back. So this way your groupings are controlled. You had grouped it. That is another way in which you can control the way you look at your elements or records in your list page. Now you have these remaining amount details. Most of these records are zero, and few of them have some values in it. You want to see the list of records in a particular order, ascending order or descending order, or in no order, or you just want to see the records in the way it got created. Right now, it is showing the records in the way order in which it got created. If I want to see it in ascending order based on any particular column, I click that record once. The entire list page is now sorted in ascending order. You would see this, it's in ascending order right now. If I click the same column once again, the entire record gets reordered in descending order. If I click the same column thrice, it goes back to the default order in which the records were listed. It is not only applied to the numerical values, it applies to the alphabets as well. So you have these different, how do I put it? So you have these different fund source names, right? I click this once. Based on the alphabetical order, as you see here, the records are sorted. If I click on once again, it goes into descending, and I click the third time, it goes back to the default list. So as I mentioned, so far we have seen three different ways in which you can present your list page the way you want to. One is filtering, second option is grouping, third option is sorting. The fourth option is, let's say you want the fund remaining amount to be the first column or second column. How would you be able to do that? You have an option called customize list. When you click customize list, you have all the columns that are available in the list page appearing here. And you also see these two options here, set for all, set for me only. Please note that these options are available only if the user has administrator credentials. If we do not have admin rights, these two options will not be there. All I would see is these options. Let's say I want to do this change only for me. So in this case, because I have admin option, I have the option to select whether I want to change this flow and I apply that for everybody. Or I want to see that kind of a view only for myself. If I do that for myself, then I make any changes here, I will see those things. Let's say I do not want to see the remaining amount right in the middle. I want this whole thing to come up. All I did was drag that whole thing, clicked it and dragged it up. It moved up and I saved this record. The moment I save it, the remaining amount will be the second column in my list page. You see here, first column is attachment or something, and then the second column is review remaining amount, and that's what is shown here. Fund type, it was grouped, and I ungrouped this record. So the remaining amount is what is the second column. If I click it again, and then I say I do not want to see the fund source code because it doesn't have any value. I do not want to get over populated with information on the list page. All I have to do is I clear this checkbox and I save this record. Now the fund source code will not be available in the list page at all. Just give me one moment. It keeps going back to the setting that I had put, which is group by. Ungroup it. So the fund source code, if I clear that checkbox, it will go off. So that is one other option. And the third option that I wanted to highlight is the page size. At this point, there are 20 records that are listed here. If you do not want to see 20 records, you want to see only 15 records, or you want to see only 10 records, you can put that size and save the record. Once you do that, right, let's say I want to set it for me, and I change this page size to 10. This is set for me only, and I save this record. For some reason, this particular environment is reordering. Yeah, in this case, now I only see 10 records here. And you see the number of pages have also increased. So that means every page will have only 10 records. So in this case, I believe there are 23 records spread across 3 pages. If I go back, this is set for me. And then the setting that is applied here. And this page number, I'm resetting it to 20. I save it. So this is how you will be able to work on the particular list page by reordering your list records in ascending or descending. You can filter the records, you can group the records, you can customize it and reorder the way you want to see the records. So these are some of the things that you can do in a list page, which I wanted to highlight. And we also looked at the various options available on the home page and the different screen icons and controls that I talked about.